to Midwest Outdoors Edition. I'm co-founder Christian Sampson. Today we're speaking to Steve Kuney, co-founder Full Penetration Archery and pro staff member for Antler King. And Steve, before we get into the business side of things, I'd like to ask you a few questions. Who got you interested in the outdoors and how?
Well, growing up, I grew up in Indiana. I lived in a small farming town, and for us, my brother and I and my father, part of the majority of our life was spent hunting. And it's something that not only it's quality time with your family, but also meeting new people in the outdoors, the people that has the same passion that we do, and that's hunting. After graduating high school, I joined the Marines, and then I was in the Marine Corps for 6 years, which eventually led me to moving here to Iowa. My girlfriend, her family lives here, and I always knew that I wanted to get back to the Midwest. I always assumed that it would be Indiana, but as soon as I found out that I had an opportunity to move here to Iowa, Iowa is known for big deer. In my opinion, it's the best state in the United States for deer hunting. We're fortunate enough now, or I am, to call it home, and it's just to be able to hunt here as a resident when I know a lot of people that live in any other state. This is a state that they want to come to. So we're fortunate enough to have great deer here. There's a lot of people that practice quality deer management. They use products like Antler King to better their deer herd. So I'm excited to live here and be associated with a company like Antler King.
What would you say your favorite part of hunting is?
Oh, obviously being in the stand, being able to kill a good deer, that's a lot of people's main focus. For me personally, that's just one of the many pleasures that I get out of deer hunting. Since I've started with Antler King 4 years ago, planting food plots, for example, is just as enjoyable to me. You get all your friends together. I make it a big deal, and we we just take a weekend and we focus on food plots. And also, now that I am on the team Full Penetration Archery, we film all of our hunts. So when it used to be back in the day, the goal was to kill a good buck. Now it's food plots. It's running the trail cameras and filming too. For me, I almost enjoy being behind the camera as much as I do in front of the camera. I love to see friends of mine that kill good deer, or even if they kill their biggest doe. It's not just about the antlers, although these products, that's what they focus on, is the health, the overall health of your deer herd, producing good antlers. So I know I kind of went on, but the favorite thing for me, I can't say that there's one specific thing. It's just hunting in general and everything that goes along with it, and everything that I do to prepare for the season, the things that I do in the off season, and the people that I get to spend that time with. So it's not just one specific thing, but just hunting in general and everything that goes along with it.
And if I was to ask you, what's your most memorable hunting experience? You got something that pops up?
Yes, actually, and believe it or not, this was a hunting situation that took place back in Virginia when I lived there, when I was in the Marines. A gentleman that lived in the city, or on the outskirts of the city near Northern Virginia, his daughter had only been hunting a couple times. So we were fortunate enough, myself and a friend of mine back there, that we did have a farm that we leased, and we were able to bring them from the city onto our property in Western Virginia, and she was able to kill her first buck with a muzzleloader. That getting kids involved in the outdoors, that is something that we have to do. If we want to continue growing as a hunting community. As we all know right now, there's so many negative things that get directed towards hunters with all the anti-hunters and whatnot. We have to join forces. We have to band together, if you will, and not belittle other hunters, not give people grief because they chose to shoot a 2-year-old buck or a 3-year-old buck. I mean, as long as it's a trophy to that individual, it doesn't matter the antler size. So yeah, her getting her first buck, which I believe was like a 6-pointer, I got so much enjoyment out of that, and her reaction and just the pure excitement that I witnessed the morning she shot that deer.
A lot of people, they might buy property, and they don't know where to start, what to do with it. So if you were given 1,000 acres, how would you manage that?
You have to make sure deer, in order to keep deer on your property, regardless of the size of it. Obviously, food plots help. Food plots are a must, in my opinion. They've got to have cover. You've got to have a water source. But you can do things to better that property, not only through food plots, but bedding, for example. If you feel like that you don't have the proper bedding or the proper cover on that property, you can go in and do hinge cutting. You can choose places where you literally come up about 4 or 5 foot and you cut an angle on the tree and you allow it to fall over. So you can create your own bedding areas or cover. What you want to look for when it comes to doing your food plots, you have hunt plots and then you have food plots. Hunt plots are going to be smaller in size, usually a 1/2 acre or less, but you want to find those spots that are secluded. If you can avoid those hunt plots or even your food plots from being along the edge of your property where they can be seen from the road, the deer are going to feel way more comfortable being out in those plots if they don't have a car driving by, or if you can, for example, if there's a river on the property that might be a boundary. It's just a matter of finding those spots on the property that are secluded, the deer are not going to have pressure on them from roadways or other types of people that are going to be around them all the time. One of the big things is, regardless of the size of the property, people think that you need to have a huge food plot. Well, if you've got enough space on this property that allows you to have 2 acres or 3 acres or 4, whatever it is, it's better to do smaller pieces. I mentioned the hunt plot, which, once again, a hunt plot is a secluded area where you might have trees that literally touch the edge of the food plot. But let's say you've got a spot where it might be a 2 acre piece that you're wanting to plant plots. What I recommend to people is breaking that up into, not doing just one big plot, but there's so many different seed options. I kind of call it giving the deer a smorgasbord. If you break that down into 3 sections or even 4 1/4 acre sections, if it's a 1 acre plot, then you can do 4 different seed blends. I started to say that people think that you need a lot of property for food plots, and you don't. That's just not true. Whether you have 1,000 acres or you have 20 acres, if you're willing to put the time in and the hard work, you can improve that property tremendously. Going back to the hinge cutting, if you produce these bedding areas and this cover for deer, that's gonna help keep them on your property. If you keep the pressure down, a lot of times that's the problem with, once again, whether it's 1,000 acres or 500 acres or 100 acres. Pressure is a big thing too. If you have 4 or 5 guys that hunt that piece of property on a regular basis, chances are that at some point in time they're going to be hunting a stand. The